everyone. Today we're going to enhance some shapes using stripes, and this is a big fun way to add a little pizzazz to our designs when we cut them out or when we print and use Cricut pens. So let's move over to Design Space, and I just want to make sure it is up and running here. There we go. Just takes a second to load. I'm going to start a new project, and today we're going to work with some stripes in some shapes. So let's pick the shape we want to work with first, which is going to be a heart, and we want to create some stripes that go across it when we use our pen. So let's just change the color here. Let's just make this a red heart. Well, actually what we want to do is change that to a pen, and then I'll use raspberry as our heart. So that's going to be part of our design. Now what we want to do is add some stripes across the side. So in order to do stripes so they look really cool, we're going to go to some shapes. We're going to grab a square, and that square, we're going to also make that a draw. Let's make that to pen, and let's just make it the same raspberry color as we had over here. Now obviously this isn't going to make too great a stripe when we push it through, so we're going to have to change the size of our square. So I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to make the height just 6 inches so it's easier to see what we're working with. And then for our width, I'm going to make it a fairly narrow width, so I'm going to go 0.0125. And you see we get a pretty thin line that will stripe both ways, but I think maybe it's just a little too thin. So let's just make this 0.05. That's just a little bit wider. Now we can see a slight gap here when we look at this particular line. So that's going to form a nice little stripe depending on the width of the pen. So now if I come back up here to my color, I don't want a fine point pen. I'm going for a marker which is 1 thick, and I'll go back to, I'll use a cardinal red on this one. It's a little thicker. You might get a little extra on the side. So now what we want to do is decide how far apart do we want the stripes, and we're going to do them on a diagonal. So these stripes on the side, I will make several of these. Let's say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 inches to work with. So I want 6 inches of a bunch of these. So I'm just going to hold down my Alt key. I'm just going to drag out a few, make some nice little stripe lines here. It doesn't matter how many at this point because we are just going to grab these. I'm going to duplicate those. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and I'm just going to approximate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say 6 inches worth here. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm going to grab all of these. I'm going to align them to the top, and then I'm going to align them and distribute horizontally so I get a nice look of a stripe here. So let me just grab those and group those together, and I'm just going to make a duplicate of this because I don't want to mess with it. Now in order to work with this stripe that we're going to use, I've got to highlight them all. I've got to combine these together, but I need to weld them in order to work with them. Now we have our heart here, we have the stripes, but I don't want the stripes going up and down. I am going to rotate these 45 degrees, and then I'm going to grab my heart, and it's going to go over. It's actually underneath, but go over top here, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to make a duplicate of the heart just because I'm going to use it again. Now I know this is a little difficult to see, but I'm just going to grab this. I'm coming down to combine, and I'm going to intersect. Now I've got a nice striped heart. Now the reason I wanted to use another heart is I like an outline around my heart. We could use it like this. So let's just take a duplicate and we'll work down here. I'll grab this one. I'm going to take a duplicate and I'm going to bring this here. I'm just going to grab the two of these together and I'm going to align them center. Great. Now I've got a nice outline all the way around, and then what I can do is grab those two together and attach them. Just want to make sure we're on pen, and yes we are. And it will ask for the different pen colors. It's giving me a question mark. I'm just going to change it all to raspberry so that it's one so that we can see it. Now I have a duplicate of this. It is one pen color. It's a combined, so it will just print exactly the way these are, and that is basically all there is to the stripes. Now we could do one more shape here. Let's just grab a star. I'll bring our star over here. We're going to basically do the same thing with the star. Let's just move our heart out of the way. I'm going to change this to a pen, and let's just give it a different color. I'm going to go tawny with this one just so I can see it. Now I want to use the same stripe pattern, so I'm going to take an Alt, move this over. Remember, this is not welded together yet, but I want to change that color, and I think we can have a nice like, butterscotch. There we go. All right, now I want to combine this and weld it together. Next step is I want to rotate this to 45 degrees. I'm going to take my star here. I think we'll be able to see it over top. That looks great. Now remember, I want to duplicate the star so I have the same size. I'm going to take these two here. Remember, we've welded. We have the shape on top, combine and intersect. And now I have this wonderful stripe. I'm going to take a duplicate. I'm going to grab our star here. I'm going to take a duplicate. I'm going to put these two together. Got the two of them here. These two together. I'm going to align, and I am going to center those, and then I am going to attach those so that they simply draw as one item. Now you're all ready to go ahead and draw these onto any surface you want. You could flatten them and change it to print then cut. I prefer to just take them as designs and put them on cards or something else. And that is all there is to adding stripes.